Hello, you guys. So today I would like to discuss a topic with you because I had something happen to my story yesterday, and which is not clickbait. It really happened, and it was fairly shocking to me. Which was that while trying to work on my novel, I actually deleted all of the files that I was working on. So not only one chapter, it was basically the whole thing from start to finish. And I will talk about my writing setup today, so you can avoid these mistakes. And I will, share with you what I did to recover the files that I was working on. So, but first of all, I would like to thank you for all the support that's currently coming in. I published a short over the weekend, and I think there was some people who resonated with the message of that specific short. And I saw some people talking about the stories that they abandoned in the past, that stories they were working on, but for some reason stopped working on it. So if you feel inspired to pick up these stories again, feel free to keep me posted on the progress there. I think it's really worth it, and I would love to, again, as I mentioned in previous videos, I would love to make this channel a point where we can discuss these things, discuss our current progress in writing, and help each other out. All right, now in terms of the technical setup, it's fairly straightforward when it comes to writing. I think writing is a very easy hobby to get into, if you'd like to say so, because what you actually need, the only thing that you need is a pen and a paper. And I guess every one of you should have a pen and a paper at home or very close to you. And this will give you the ability to start writing. I think it's probably even harder to start writing than it is to find a pen and a paper. Now, what I did when I started writing, I actually did start with a notebook, and in my case, a fountain pen. I'm not sure why I was trying to be fancy, but that's what I did. I actually got into fountain pens and listened to podcasts about fountain pens. It sounds weird, and it is weird, and I stopped doing that. And the reason for stopping this is because that's not a good writing setup. The problem with writing in notebooks is not that it's like hard or anything. My handwriting is bad, but the problem is that if you finish your first draft, and that's what I did, then you actually have to type the whole thing into your computer to edit it. I mean, you can, I'm not sure how people did it in the past, but you can start again and write this next draft on a piece of paper again, but it's very tedious, and I don't think that you should do this because it wastes a lot of your time. I don't recommend wasting your time, actually. So, of course, what you will use instead of a notebook is you would use a computer. You can also use a tablet or a cell phone. Probably you can connect a keyboard to those devices as well. I'm not really familiar with that kind of writing setup, but I'm sure you can make it work if you don't have a laptop at hand. Now you can start, of course, typing with your laptop keyboard. I personally, as you can see in this video, I personally use an external keyboard as well as a mouse. I think it's easier to type on this keyboard compared to a laptop keyboard. And also I have multiple screens set up, so this, I think, gives you also more real estate on your screen to actually navigate things around, open other windows, see the stuff that you plotted, for example, while writing. I think that's very helpful. So you can purchase keyboards and mouses on the internet for like $10. I think, as you can see, my mouse that I'm using is probably the cheapest that I could find. That's a different story for the keyboard that I'm using. That was also an interest of me, similar to the fountain pen story. But I bought this keyboard, because I'm also working from home. So I wanted to have a keyboard that sounds great and that also has some feedback to it, so I can really enjoy writing. And I can recommend buying or spending some more money on your keyboard, but it's not really a must-have. You can start with a $10 keyboard, and that's what I did in the past. I still have that keyboard, so if that one fails, then I have a backup one. Now, this was the hardware-related end of the spectrum. Now let's talk about the software. And you can basically start with every software that allows you to write in, basically, that you have. You can use Word, you can use OpenOffice, but there's multiple others that you can use. And what I actually use as a word processing software is Focuswriter, which I think is very helpful because it allows you to modify the screen that you're working on. And Focuswriter, as the name says, basically only gives you a screen and the words on that screen. So it's very frictionless. You don't have any toolbars that are distracting you. You only have your screen and your writing. I set the screen background to black and white font color, so it's very clean without any distractions. I would personally advise you to not write in a browser, because all of the tabs that are already taking away our time and distracting us. I think you should be as focused as possible while writing, and I think Focuswriter does a great job. I'm not sure whether I mentioned that. Focuswriter is actually open source, so you don't have to buy it. It's you can download it from the internet by just Googling for it, and it's very helpful. What I also use, and this is all stuff that you don't need to worry about. You just basically use a normal standard software program. You also don't need the fancy tools that are advertised on the internet. I'm sure they are great. I'm blanking on any of those names. I only know that these tools exist and allow you with fancy plotting tools and stuff like that. But you don't need those. You really don't need those. You need just a basic setup that allows you to write and store the documents in a safe place. And we will come to that safety discussion later. Now, what I also do is I store my files that I write in Focuswriter in the .tex format or text format, which is LaTeX files. LaTeX is a tool that is mostly used in academic writing. And this allows you to, from a list of documents, export a PDF document. That's basically what it is. And you can have multiple templates. There are academic templates that you can use, and you just need to provide the template with the standard text files. And from there, it exports you the document into that specific template. And you can adjust the styling and all of that stuff. It's not as straightforward as just opening a Word document and editing it there. It's very annoying, I have to admit, but what I did in the past is I set up a template that gives me the general manuscript structure that I'm following, that also would help me in submitting the short story or what I have. So I set up this template a while ago, and what I then do is I have a folder set up for the specific story or a short story or novel. I have all the chapters stored in that folder, and I have also the LaTeX templates stored in there. So I just need to compile from the list of chapters, and then it outputs me a PDF file, which is really straightforward and which I can recommend. Now, in terms of the backup solution, what I use is I store a copy of the file that I'm currently working on my laptop, as well as a automatic backup that you can basically enable on Windows and Mac. So I have the file that I'm currently working on, as well as the copied file that would give me a backup. What I also use is a backup to the cloud, which you should probably also set up. So something that syncs with your Google Drive or Proton Drive or OneDrive, that allows you to store a copy of your writing in a separate location, which I think is very useful. So what happened to me now yesterday is that I created a file and deleted all of the other files that I had set up as chapters. And what I did, I was able to restore the versions from the bin. Thinking about your backup solution is something that you should consider and that you should set up as soon as you start writing, so you don't have any of these problems that I faced yesterday. Because yeah, if you're working on a project for months or years even, then it's good that you always have a backup at hand in the case that something happens. Now, thank you again for all the support that I received. Again, let me hear your thoughts when you pick up some of the writing that you abandoned. I would love to hear your stories and the stories that you picked up, and maybe also the success you have. I hope that you enjoyed the overview of my technical setup, and I'll see you on the next video and see you tomorrow.